Viche, Namaskar. Today we are going to put our focus on a dangerous pro-Russian person who was living in Kolkata in the middle of the 19th century. As a young boy who spent his childhood and adolescence in Russia, was born in the year 1814, but he was there with his parents in Russia. He came back to his own country, England, and there he started learning some other things, some other subjects of that particular period. He was actually an Irishman whose parents put him with the missionaries of those days. And when he was 25-year old, he joined the missionaries. And at the age of 26, he came to India, to Kolkata, as a teacher of the missionaries of the Church Society School. And the school was situated in today's central Calcutta. The place is called as Mirzapur. Being here and as the holder of the first-hand information about Russia, he found that in India, anti-Russian campaign is very strong and Russophobia is spreading like mushrooms, and there was no limit in it. He started informing people about their reality in Russia, about the people, about the peasants, about the streets, about the cities, about the architecture of the society, that it is not a country which will invade India for this or that reason, which the British colonial rulers were trying to influence with their typical anti-Russian mentalities. And this person, whose name was James Long, he was not only associated with the school, but in the southern western part of the city of Calcutta, he tried to build up some social network for the local people, for some voluntary activities of them. However, during his days in Kolkata, he was very much interested with the social life, and since at that time the indigo planters who were ruthless in exploitation became so notorious that the agrarian laborers or the agricultural workers, they have nothing else but to protest vehemently, and it is known to the world as the Indigo Revolt of Kolkata. James Long stood by the side of the poor peasants, and there was another person called Harish Mukherjee who was associated with Hindu Patriot journal, tried to publish this information, and another intelligent person who was a dramatist known as Dinobandhu Mitra wrote a new drama on this Indigo Peasants Revolt as Neil Dorpon, entitled as Neil Dorpon. Literary translation can be Indigo Mirror. The English translation of this Bengali drama was done by no one else by the famous poet, novelist, and writer, dramatist Michael Madhusudan Datta. That was published in English and it was financed by James Long. For that reason, he was summoned to the court, and along with few other people, they had to fight against the British authority. Horish Mukherjee was in such condition because he was losing all his money in this case. He died an untimely death. And James Long was put into the bar, into the prison, but he was not afraid of that. As James Long was arrested and put into the bar, inside the bar, people of India from all walks of life, they revolted against the decision of the British colonial rulers, and ultimately James Long came out of the prison. As he was out of the prison, he again had a wish to visit Russia. Earlier, he used to tell to the people of Kolkata, people of India, about Russia as the country, how beautiful it is, how colorful is the nature, and how wonderful culture the Russian people have. And he, as a child or as a young boy, when he was there, he tried to remember or he tried to collect some Russian proverbs. And that found him very interesting. And as soon as he was released from the prison, for 5 months, he again went to Russia, started collecting new proverbs or the old Russian proverbs for his own interest. And there in St. Petersburg, in Moscow, and in some other places, while he was traveling, he told to the people of Russia about the condition of the Indian peasants, about the Indigo Revolt, and about many other interesting happenings which took place during his stay in India. And when he came back after 5 months, he was so energetic, he was so enthusiastic, he started writing reports on his 5 month stay in St. Petersburg and in Moscow, and it was being published regularly in Hindu Patriot. While this was being published, people came to know more about him and about Russia, particularly of that country and a people which was introduced by the Britishers, by the imperialists or the colonial rulers to the Indian people as a country of the savage people who is always eager to invade some other country. And that influenced even some Indian intellectuals. But at the same time, James Long narrated the stories of Russia about the similarities of the Indian peasants with the Russian peasants, about the similarity of the cities like St. Petersburg and Kolkata, about the swampy lands, and about the river of Neva and Ganges. And also he made a comparative study on Sanskrit and Russian, where he found and he also mentioned that for the West Europeans or the rest of the Europeans outside Russia, it is difficult for them to pronounce Russian words, Russian phonetics. But for the Indians, since they have the base of Sanskrit, and Russian and Sanskrit are almost from the same branches, they can pronounce each other's name, titles, and other vocabularies. That was very fascinating, and his knowledge on Russia was so delicate that even the high intellectuals of the society in Calcutta at that time invited him to give a lecture on Russia and her people. And there was a society called Bengal Social Science Association. They organized a meeting where he was supposed to deliver this talk, and eminent persons like Parichand Mitro, Brahmananda Keshav Chandra Sen, Reverend Radhamohan Bandyopadhyay, they all were at the same place, and they all supported James Long. And that was a historic speech which helped him to acquire his own position in the country. He also mentioned about the possibility of the new trade routes. It's very interesting to know that even in 1881, with the date of a book which has the title of the Indian riots and mainly about the peasants of India, about the land reforms and the Britishers' act on the Indian peasants, were published by a person called Akhay Chandra Das. He was from Howrah, not from Kolkata. But this book found a place in St. Petersburg Library with the signature of James Long. No one knows whether it was presented to some Indologist who came to Kolkata somewhere after that, whether they received this book from him or it went by the collectors for acquiring more knowledge about the Indian peasants. James Long went back to his country and lived there for a few more years, but he died at a ripe age of considering of those years, at the age of 72. He passed away and he left Kolkata in the year 1869. He went back to his own country, and actually after these lectures in this Kolkata society, this research society, he went back to Russia for a few days, and from there, since he was 69 by that time by age, people understood that it will not be possible for him to come back again to India. They said goodbye to the great soul, who actually was the first conscious person to introduce Russia to the people of India, to create love and admiration for that country and her people. We must salute this great soul, James Long. Thank you very much. We believe that we will be talking about some other people who are related for the Russian-Indian relationship. Maybe we'll be dealing with some other persons who are related not only with social sciences but also with some other aspects of life. Till then, we say Dasvedanya, we say Punardarshanaya, we say we'll meet you again. Thank you very much.